Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Old Building Forum. It's 12:01, so we're going to give it a minute or so to let people filter in and get comfortable. So if you just bear with us for a minute more, we'll get started shortly. All right. So as I think many of you know, I'm Tara Kelly, Executive Director of Maine Preservation. And before we get started, I'd like to recognize some folks who make our work possible. So thank you to our preservation champions, Rosalie and Christopher Glass, Teresa Haskell, Michelle and Aaron Sturgis, Anna Marie and John Thron, and two anonymous donors. Thanks also to our industry leader sponsors, Chinberg, Down East, Norway Savings Bank, Restoration Resources, and Preservation Timber Framing, and also the support of all the individuals and companies listed here. If you don't already know us, our mission is to promote and protect Maine's historic fabric, which in turn stimulates cultural and economic vitality across the state. And we have five key areas of work: technical assistance, financial support, stewardship, education, and advocacy. And I'm going to share just some recent updates to let you know what we've been up to. Earlier in the fall, in October, Elsie, Brad, and I traveled to the Belfast area to learn about local preservation challenges and successes. We haven't decided where we're headed next in our residency. So if you're interested in having us visit your community, please send an email to info@mainepreservation.org. Virtually, we are hosting our next Monday meetup for local governments in December, on December 8th at noon. So join us then if you represent a local government and are interested in talking with others who may share some of the challenges and questions that you have about preservation in your communities. Meanwhile, tomorrow we're hosting a walking tour in Skowhegan to learn about the historic buildings and landmarks that shaped this former mill town along the Kennebec River. I see Judy's here today. She's joining us on the streets tomorrow. It's not too late. Tickets are $20. It includes lunch at Maine Grains. So please reach out if you are interested in joining us tomorrow morning. And we are also still working to fund our proposal to create a new historic homeowner tax credit. Please reach out to members of the Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee, as well as legislative leadership, and ask them to fund LD 435 in the next session. And lastly, it is a season of giving. So please express your gratitude for the work that we're doing and make a contribution to support our work. mainepreservation.org/donate. We would love to have your support. And so now it is my pleasure to welcome Margaret Gaertner. So I'm going to stop sharing my presentation and open hers up. So just one moment, please. There. Okay, Margaret, is that looking good to you?
Yes, does. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to say a little bit about you to start. So the Center for Painted Wall Preservation is a nonprofit organization founded in 2015 and dedicated to the research and preservation of 18th and 19th century American paint decorated plaster walls. Among its initiatives is the innovative Virtual Museum of Painted Walls. In her role as project manager for the Center of Painter Wall Preservation Virtual Museum, Margaret worked with a team of fellow board members and outside consultants to develop and launch the first 20 immersive tours. These tours allow visitors to explore and learn about historic painted interiors virtually, removing physical, geographic, and economic barriers to access. Since earning her degrees from the Parsons School of Design and University of Pennsylvania, Margaret has spent more than 25 years working on a wide range of historic preservation projects. She works with building owners on all phases of their ventures, from research to project planning and specification writing, and working in the field with contractors for successful implementation. So in this presentation, Margaret will explore the development of the virtual museum, the technology used to document these historic places, and the stories behind notable examples from the collection. She'll also discuss how this online resource advances education, research, and preservation advocacy across the field. And one point of order, I would just ask that we will take questions at the end. So let's just let Margaret and Norm get through their presentations, and then we'll open it up for conversation. So please take it away, Margaret. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tara. So thank you, everybody, for joining today, and thank you to Maine Preservation for organizing this event. We're excited to let more people know about our virtual museum and the opportunity to visit historic interiors with decoratively painted walls without leaving your home. So as Tara mentioned, the Center for Painted Wall Preservation is a 501c3 nonprofit. We were organized in 2015, and Maisie is going to share a link to our website. We are a member-sponsored organization and always welcome new members, and members get many, many benefits through our website. We document and preserve decoratively painted walls created between roughly 1790 and 1840, and we work to raise awareness of this threatened vernacular art form. CPWP provides advice on care and structural issues related to painted wall ownership. We provide connections to a trusted network of conservation, preservation, and paint analysis experts. Our board members actively document painted walls in locations across upstate New York and New England. Our board members are scholars and can help with attribution assistance if you're trying to determine who might have created your walls. We regularly present about painted walls, including the art itself and the artists. And only as a last resort, we can work with extrication of walls if the building is threatened with demolition or under some severe form of threat. But that is absolutely a last resort, because seeing the building and seeing the walls in the context of their intended setting is, of course, the best option. Could you hit the slide, Tara, please? Thanks. Some of our specific projects as an organization, we work to raise awareness of painted walls as an art form. It's amazing how overlooked they are. I think many of us, even who have studied domestic interior history, are not even aware how widespread this art once was. We organized and hosted a symposium during the pandemic, and that included international speakers. And because it was virtual, we also had an international audience at our symposium. We published Plaster Bits, which is our newsletter, and each issue typically takes a pretty deep dive into either a space or an artist or a technique. The whole back catalog is available through our website for members. We also work to provide access to these spaces. In the past, CPWP has hosted in-person tours. So there might be a day in the Upper Connecticut Valley where we work with homeowners to open up, say, 4, 5, 6 homes, and people can visit and see those in person, which of course is ideal, but not always convenient. We also document walls. We get many phone calls from building owners when they find walls in their homes or in their buildings, and our board is available to visit on-site, document, and provide some guidance on the proper care of these walls. And our board members also write articles and books and present to the public on a regular basis. These walls are incredibly threatened. We are doing everything we can to raise awareness and make people understand that these are significant. But it's just one burst pipe, one leaking toilet, or sale to an insensitive owner, and the walls could be absolutely lost forever. This slide shows you the Burgess House in Sebec, Maine. We had this on the list of properties to include in the virtual museum, but when we went to arrange a visit, I found this real estate picture And found out that sometime before 2016, all the walls had been painted over. So this house was listed on the National Register in the 1970s for its significant, in part because of the significance of these walls. And Center for Painted Wall Preservation was there probably in the 1990s, documented it, took photographs, but sometime before 2016, the person who then owned the building decided to paint it all out and they are gone. So this is an active threat that we are working to stay ahead of. Okay, next slide, please. So again, this is the Burgess house up above. What was wonderful about these walls and fairly unusual was that they combined stencil on the knee wall and mural painting on the slope ceiling up above. It's not typical to find both techniques in the same space. The lower image shows the Deacon Bailey house, which is in Portland, Maine. This one is noted to most people because it was built well before the Revolutionary War, which makes it a pretty rare survivor, and that's why Habs was probably interested when they went there in 1936. But to CPWP, the interest is the muraled stair hall, which is attributed to Jonathan D. Poor, a noted muralist in Maine. This property has been on Greater Portland Landmarks Places in Peril list since 2015. So the next slide, please. So one of our major efforts is developing a virtual museum of painted walls. And we've been working on this, well, we've been working on this for quite a while. We actually have two sides to our museum. We offer immersive room tours, which is what we're going to look at shortly. And we also have a digital archive. We envision this much as you might think of a bricks and mortar museum where perhaps one day you're there to see the period rooms and the art, but another visit you might come back and visit the archive and do research. So similarly, our virtual museum offers both experience as well. Next slide, please. So virtual museum includes these immersive room tours, and members of CPWP can reach this home page, landing page, which shows all the tour options in our immersive tour side as of now. At the moment, we have 20 rooms that you can tour, and these include examples of muraled, stenciled, and freehand brush stroke painted walls. And the rooms are in upstate New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and also in Maine. To date, we have 20 rooms in the museum. We have an additional 14 properties scanned, and we are working on developing those scans into the tour side of it, the whole full tour experience with information and exhibit labels. And of the next 14, I just want to let you know that 6 of those are in Maine, and of those 6, 3 of them are privately owned homes in Harpswell, West Auburn, and Reedfield. So our immersive tours provide a 3D virtual experience of interiors that have decoratively painted walls. We have 40 identified properties that eventually will be in the museum. As I mentioned, we have 20 ready to visit and 14 in the works. Our professional photographer is Michael Wasserman of Virtually Real Solutions, and he actually is using the Matterport platform, and we have been very, very happy with it, and have we started with Matterport. We found out about it through Michael. Everything I've looked at since has just really convinced me we made the right choice. Matterport's just really intuitive. It's super easy to use, and it also has this ability to label, to add what they call matter tags, but we use them as exhibit labels so that as you move through the space, you can learn more about what you're seeing in the space. So if you could hit the next slide, please. So you're on the homepage and you pick your tour, and then you click on it and you'll get to a information page that tells you about the property, its history, the artist, the art, and then you get to enter the virtual space and tour the actual interiors. And this is, of course, what we're talking about in this presentation. So your first view will be this, they call it the dollhouse view, and it allows you to then click on and enter a space um, within the tour. And then you'll also see those blue dots on the space throughout the room, and those are the exhibit labels. And you can click on the exhibit labels and a box will pop up and tell you more about that feature. The important thing with Matterport is the lower left has a 3 icons, and they allow you to change the view that you're seeing. Right now we're in dollhouse view, which lets you see the whole space and decide where you want to be. It's also super helpful because if you ever find yourself sort of lost or confused or frustrated, you just click on the dollhouse and it will zoom you out to this view and let you find exactly where you want to be again. You can also create a plan view and a walkthrough view. So if we go to the next slide, this is what a typical room tour looks like once you're in it. Again, it's a three-dimensional environment. You can walk through it at your own pace. You can zoom in, click on a blue dot, and have an exhibit label appear and tell you more about the feature that you're looking at. We find that it's very, as I mentioned, it's very intuitive. If you hand somebody your tablet, they just start playing around with it and it just makes sense. You will get a better experience looking at the museum either on a tablet or a phone instead of a desktop because they have better screens to begin with. It allows you to see an entire room as if you're standing in it, and you can then again move through at your own pace, zoom in. Many of the tours have multiple rooms and you can freely move from room to room. And you just see so many more details and get such a better understanding than if you were just looking at it with photographs. And this is just a much better experience, allows you to move through, see details. The resolution is outstanding. It's just an overall much better experience than photographs ever could be. All right, so next slide.
It's the last one, Margaret.
Oh, okay. So I think what we can do is take a look at an actual room. I need to share my screen. Huh. So I created the stills because it's not the best experience when we're looking at it. When you layer Matterport and watch it through a Zoom, it tends to get a little bit herky-jerky. So once you get to a homepage for our virtual Museum of Painted Walls, as I mentioned, there's a digital archive side and an immersive tour side. And then once you're in, you can create your own tour or collection of tours. You could choose to look at all of the mural rooms, or perhaps you want to see all the stenciled rooms. You could also decide, well, I just want to visit all of the rooms in Massachusetts or in New Hampshire, and then you can start getting an idea of regional trends and regional patterns. There are, like I said, 20 tours so far, a range of stencils, murals. There's 20 rooms, but many of the sites will have multiple rooms. So there's probably close to 60 rooms in here total, even though it's 20 properties. So we're going to take a look at the Dalton House, which is in Parsonsfield. Each tour starts with an introductory page where you can learn about the house itself, its architecture, the owners, when it was built, the artist, who in this case it's actually signed J.D. Poor, which is quite unusual. He actually initialed these murals, which is very unusual. Usually attributions are made by experts who compare motifs, the way they used the brush, the colors they used, and then can group that with other examples. But in this case, we actually have a signed example. An essay about the painted walls, the art, what you're seeing in the art. Okay, but here's the fun part. So as I mentioned, this is the dollhouse view. If you're ever confused about where you are, supposed to be right down here. I'm not sure if I'm full screen. Yes, it is here. So we come back to the dollhouse, zoom out again, and start all over again if you're ever confused. But once you're in the space, oh, it's just being very slow. Sorry. This is why we didn't do the whole tour this way. You can click on a blue dot, learn more about it, that feature. So in this case, we're learning about the landscape scene upstairs. We could learn more about the orchard, which is a feature we often see in JD4 murals. As you get used to navigating it, you can actually just look at all the tags at once if you want to. But to us, this is one of the things we really liked about Matterport was the ability to be able to create these tags so that as you move through the space, you can learn more about the art as you're actually seeing it. Of course, if you don't want to, you can just walk around and look at the space too. This one has some amazing woodwork. This is actually a really wonderful example. Many of these houses we've noticed were built in, say, 1805, but then around 1830, the homeowner wanted to update and had a muralist come in and update. So this interior has a really wonderful overlay of later murals and early federal woodwork. The woodwork in this space is just amazing. It also solves access issues. As I mentioned, CPWP, oh, here we go. That woodwork just amazes me. CPWP is trying to provide access to these spaces and to raise awareness that these spaces even exist. And with our virtual museum and using Matterport, now anybody can be in Parsonsfield looking at this house. It doesn't matter if you can handle steps. It doesn't matter if it's Thursday night, 2 o'clock in the morning. Anybody can come here at the convenience of their own schedule, no car needed, no ability to climb stairs needed. It just makes the access so much more universal. And we really believe this is the way we can reach the greatest number of people possible. So thank you so much for letting us share this project with Maine Preservation.
Thank you so much, Margaret. I can't wait to dive in and explore. And I do have some questions for you when we get to that time in the day. I would now like to introduce Norm, who Norm Akin has over 15 years of expertise in laser scanning technology. His scanning expertise includes convention centers, so it's a very different typology, Norm, from what we just saw, from 650,000 to 1 million square feet, football stadiums, historic preservation, construction progress scans, colleges, and as-built documentations. He's also scanned outside venues such as outdoor hiking trails, property scans, electrical substations, and civil engineering scans. Additional skills include 40 years using Autodesk products. Norm has taught classes at Autodesk University, AGC America, and AIA. He's been with Haley Ward since 2024. And his presentation highlights Haley Ward's use of laser scanning to support the restoration of the historic 1867 Masonic Hall in Wayne, Maine. Working alongside Sustain Wayne and Maine Preservation, the building information modeling team captured millions of data points to create an exact data replica of the structure. The resulting 3D model provides valuable information for planning, design, and preservation, helping maintain the building's historic character as it is transformed into a vibrant community center for future generations. All right, so Norm, tell us about the scan.
All right, well, thank you, Tara, for having me. I'd like to thank Elsie too, because she spent all day with us out at the Wayne site. She was a hard worker, and she learned a lot. So, thank you both. I'm going to just share my screen now and get started here. There we go. And I'll just go ahead and start my slideshow from the beginning. Now, it's from the beginning. There we go. Okay, I put a little banjo music in here because it's a nice country site, and it's a little annoying right now, so I'm just going to turn it down some while we're going into this. There we go. Okay, but as you can see from the sites, these blue circles that are driving past, that's my site scans, where was the scans, and that's a little loud in my headphones, so I'm going to just skip to the next one here. Um, but our agenda this morning, it's going to be a quick one. We're going to look at a quick definition of laser scanning. We're going to look at the scan data versus the photographic data. Oh, okay. All right. So I could hear the music. No one else could. So sorry about that. I thought we checked it well enough, but that's okay. We're going to look at scan data versus the photographic data. Three types of information I can get from the scans would be the point clouds, photographs, and 360 photographs as well. So we're going to just touch on all three of those to see the information we can get. We're going to look at the point cloud to get precise restoration information. And if you look at the front of this building, this is laser scan data. It looks almost like the photograph, and we'll look at that as we get going a little more. But I'll just pop over here. So on this slide, I broke the rule of more than 50 words per slide. I'm not going to read all this to you, but I'll just do a quick explanation. Reality capture, okay, is the process of creating 3D models from photographs or laser scans. Photogrammetry is used primarily using a drone, or as Margaret mentioned, Matterport has a photogrammetry model as well that they can pull the information out. So, but the laser scan uses images of the terrestrial or aerial scans. The laser is simply a class 1 laser that goes out, reads the image information, and then comes back and records it on the scanner. Okay, this scan data was used to determine the amount of work that is going to be needed to level and raise this building for restoration. As Tara said, this building was built in 1867. It was a replacement for a building that burned down. I don't know exactly where the previous one was, but it's been sitting here, and we'll be able to see some of the information. And again, this image is just all point cloud data, and you can see the precise information that I can get with the point cloud. So we'll look first at photographs versus point cloud data. So like I said, my scanner produces photographs and scan data. And we can tell just looking at this building that, we're going to have some issues with this back corner. Okay. And on the far side, the southeast corner, which I couldn't get to because behind this building was full of mud, trees, growth, and just for safety concerns, I didn't want to go back there and slip and fall, and because I'm a big guy, and it would have taken all three of the people that were working with me to haul me out from back there. So but you can see the photograph and the scan data as well. So, but the next slide here again, the photograph versus the scan data. So there's not really that much of a point between the two, as far as clarity goes. You can measure from an exact point here, or you can measure the photograph to an exact precision point. Now, in a lot of my scan work, you'll see either this Jeep or the little sports car I drive, because hey, it's a signature. So, all right. So again, just looking at the photograph and the scan data, we see that there's a bow in this wall right here, and we'll see that more when we look at the the actual point clouds, but you can see that here as well, just by the discoloration along that. So we're able to get very, very precise. Okay. And let's see, before I jump into this next one here, no, we'll do that and pick that up later. So now, this building was placed, almost 150 years ago. And you can see just from the front of the scan here, I probably couldn't pick it up in the photographs because of the angle, but you can see that this building has shifted to the left a little bit. And you can see by how many degrees over here, it's the roof is shifted. If you follow this line across, okay, it's at the bottom of this roof piece. And you see on this side how it's raised above. So it looks like it's sinking. And we can confirm that in a few minutes. But you see, that this wall is not straight up. It's not very much, but over the size of the building, it becomes quite a bit. From the northwest corner to the southeast corner. And this image, this was actually my point cloud. I inserted it into Autodesk Revit. And any modeling software such as AutoCAD, Autodesk-based products, ArchiCAD, you can import the point cloud in directly so that you can work with it and make everything line up. Okay, so if we look at this from the other angle of this this scan, you'll see that from here to here, the top of this roof, you see it slopes right there following the point cloud. So it's 13 foot 11 and a quarter inches from, again, this soffit piece to up here. And then it's 13 foot 4 and a quarter inches from here to here. So that's a 7-inch drop over the roof. So you can see across the bottom here as well, this back wall is, looks like it's falling backwards, or the whole building has shifted backwards, so that when this goes in to be raised up, it's going to have to be leveled first and then raise it up. Okay, so we can see that information as well. And then going to my next slide, this was that back area where I couldn't get to, but I could still see on my roof right here. And then looking across on this roof, I see how the roof itself is sloped. Okay, so what I'm going to do real quick is pop this up. This is my 360 photographs, and we can start seeing details a lot cleaner here. But from my scan positions, just around, you can see the amount of data that I gathered with the scan. Now, Tubby's here. I will tell you, if you go there during the week, they don't open till 4 o'clock. So if you want ice cream, you'll have to bring it yourself. Okay. So, okay. Hang on just a second. Having just a little bit of difficulty there. Let's see. Okay, so I'll pull the 3D up in the 360 up in a minute. But okay, so I'm going to if any questions so far. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get out of the slideshow here and pop over here. Can everyone see this image now?
No, you'll need to change which window you're sharing. So
oh, okay. All right.
Now you're still showing the presentation, but you'll need to select, a different window in your screen.
Okay, so let's see. Share. Okay, I'm just going to stop sharing and then share again. Okay. Like I said, I'm an expert at Teams. There, is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so the 360 images that are produced are, the same photographic images, that we do see. And I'll go up to a couple of the other ones. You can see the distance I got on this bridge. I thought that was kind of a cool feature to shoot from. But there's Tubby's. Like I said, if you want ice cream before 4 o'clock on a weekday, you're out of luck. So, but as you can see, by my setup points here, that we were all over the place, and I went out to the middle of the bridge to let's see. I was out on the middle of the bridge shooting back to see that roof that is messed up, that is not working. Okay, so here's that image we saw earlier, and then I was out on the bridge. So let's say it's that one. Oops, wrong way. But from here, and then one closer up, this tree is in the way, but you can see how this roof is curving down right there. And right there, there's a spot within the roof that, is sunk as well. So again, the 360 photos really help to put things together. I made sure on these that we were hiding behind these bushes so we wouldn't show up in the photos. So that's always a good plan, not to show up in them. And then I'm going to share one more time here. How am I doing on time? Am I going long?
No, you're good.
Okay. Recap. So that's, no, I don't want to share that one. I want to share this one. There we go. Okay, so this is the actual point cloud data that I get from the scanner itself. And you can see, I get all of the information, all the trees, but then I can just pinpoint, exact data scans as well. So you can see all the detail and the wood that needs to be repainted. And, I didn't get any interior shots because, like I said, I'm a big guy and I was afraid of falling through the floor. But you can see this information. That's Elsie. I didn't get her quite out of the picture there. But I can, see the level of the ground as, the contour of the land here, the doors, and, I wish I could have gotten inside, but, again, for safety's sake, I didn't want to do that. Okay, any questions so far?
Well, I think if you're done, Norm, then I will open it up, and I have a few questions myself. But is there anything else you wanted to share?
Nope, I'm done.
Okay, great. All right. Well, since you're here with us, I guess I have a question. About like scanning a 1 million square foot building. Is there a difference in terms of scale that we're talking about? Is it just easier to do something smaller, or are there complications involved with that too?
Okay, for this building in Wayne, it is a smaller building, but the roof heights. Okay, to get the absolute roof height, I had to scoot way back on the bridge to get that, because the closer I'm in, the closer to the scan. And as you saw from any of the scans, the little white spots were where the scan didn't reach. It's a line of sight only scan. 1 million square feet. It's just it took a team of us took us 3 weeks to do that, but it was a lot simpler in a lot of sense than this building, because on this building you've got the staircases that that go up to the second and third floors. You've got all of the information you've got to tie together. In a wide open space, you're just going, scan to scan and tying that together. Whereas here, you've got to make sure that the doors tie in front and back, the stairs all tie together, all the levels tie together. So, a single level building is always easier. But these multi-story buildings are more fun. So.
Great. And, in this case, we were talking about the need to lift this building out of the floodplain. And so that's an important part of understanding the conditions of the building. Can you give some other examples of why you would conduct a laser scan, what utility it has? I know we have some other old building stewards here listening in. What other kind of purposes might it serve to have this information?
Okay. Well, again, we'll go back to Wayne here. We saw how the back of the building dropped 7 inches on, the what is southwest corner. How it dropped, and then on the southeast corner, it's probably dropped a little more. So, what it gives us, it'll give us that information of the floor line across, and if we were inside, we could see how that floor itself is sloping. So but this one, we can tell, okay, this is 7 inch difference, um, um, between top and bottom. And plus, we can get accuracy on this scan. My scan data were accurate to just over a 16th of an inch at 30 feet. Okay. The second thing would be insurance, because then, if we try to do this without the insurance, without the exact measurements, then, it may break it and, say, oh, okay, we can't, the insurance won't cover that because now you're liable for breaking the building, so to speak. Now, one example I do have, when I was doing a scan in Dallas on the Jewel Hotel. And if you get to Dallas, it's a great hotel built in 1910. Um, um, it's where I'm trying to think of the street it's at. It doesn't matter. You can look it up. They wanted to build a second tower to match the first one. And when we scanned that one, we discovered that the floor plate from the front of the building to the back, the south wall, had actually sunk over 100 years, almost a foot down, which made all of the floors sloped, so that every floor had to be replaced before they could remodel it. And so the contractor was able to take that to the owner and say, we need to rebuild these floors. That's, it's going to cost this much. And so the same thing on a smaller scale. How much is it going to cost to raise that and level the floor and then raise it up, without breaking the building? And from a couple of those long shots, you can see how the roof in the center has bowed down. And so that would need to be replaced, as well, taken off, put on after the building itself is leveled. So.
And so just one more moderator prerogative question. I wanted to ask Norm, since you did mention cost, what does something like this cost to do for, let's say, a building of this size?
So a building of this size, I would say, I could get the entire building scanned, give or take, in 2 days, weather permitting, plus all of that. We charge a cost per day, or we do the contract, and we can go into that later. It's like, don't want to give away the sauce right now, but so a building this size would be 2 solid days of scanning, and then 1 day in the on the computer, working and registering all the data.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, I will see if anybody else is interested in such a scan. Maybe they can press you on the price tag. Margaret, were you going to chime in?
Yeah, many years ago, I worked with Lyndhurst. It's a National Trust site in New York, and they did, at the time, it was photogrammetric scanning, which is similar to what Michael's talking about. But as Michael mentioned, the 16th inch at 30-foot level of detail, they did a stone-by-stone scan, the idea being to have a moment in time so that they could track damage in the future. So for historic preservation and maintenance, having that level of detail at a moment in time gives you an absolute baseline to track deterioration in the future and really understand where failure points are and how bad they are. And also, Michael's scanning exteriors, we were scanning interiors, and it's on an interior scan, it's about how much is in the building, because if you're scanning a building that's full of stuff, you're going to have to then step behind that sofa and take another scan so that the sofa isn't blocking information, especially walls. We don't want you to zoom in and not have something there because there was a piano in the way. So the amount of contents in the room and nooks and crannies in the room. So if you had an empty four-walled room, that's a pretty quick scan. But if you were scanning, we scanned a ballroom in Massachusetts, and it had a musician's balcony. It had nooks, crannies, different little areas, stairwells. Then that's just going to take more scans to capture all of that in all of those surfaces.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, and a drone. Sometimes if the floor is really special, he may also bring a drone and scan from a drone to get a really good shot of the painted floor. Not always necessary, but if you've got really spectacular, spectacularly painted floors, then that would probably get added on.
Yep, and I agree with, if the building is full of stuff, there's going to be different scans, different scan heights, and typically what I like to do if I'm scanning around stuff, I'll scan from different heights,
Mm-hmm.
because it'll be different angles, as well as creating a scan map to go around the furniture. Now, if I want to get under something, my tripod will get down low to I think the top of the scanner's at 12 inches, so I can scan under the couch. I can see the dust bunnies that are there, but I do have the equipment to raise it up, to lower it down, so that I can get all the surfaces. Now, and like I said earlier, the scanner we use is line of sight. So yeah, if there's something in the way, it's going to show up with a hole in the back, like you said. But if I move the scanner over there, it's going to pick up all of that information as well. So, and it's the same with any scanner. It's going to be a line of sight, unless it's an X-ray, and then
There are questions from our audience. Shannon, did you want to ask your question?
Hi, yes, thanks, Tara. So I run the Lincoln County Historical Association, and we're responsible for 3 historic houses, 2 of which have some interesting graffiti on the walls. One of them has wood walls, and graffiti is either pencil or carvings, and then the other one is this old jail pictured behind me. And they're all kinds of interesting prisoner graffiti. We're losing some of it over time, and I would like to document that. And I'd like to be able to, both have a record of the graffiti and also the ability to study it. Sometimes we don't have the right lighting with a photograph to be able to like really see it very well. And I'm just curious about whether, I guess it's a two-part question. Like, is the technology you work with appropriate for this kind of use? And like, if so, how would you recommend proceeding?
Okay, to answer the first question, or the first part, yes. The technology, the scanning technology that we use, will get the graffiti. It'll be in a point cloud, but it'll also be the photograph. So I've recently I scanned an old schoolhouse, okay, that had even marks on the chalkboard that came up, and they stayed in the scan even though the chalkboard was erased. So I was able to capture that information. As far as lighting goes, my scanner can work in complete darkness and pick up all of the detail, because it's a laser scan. It produces its own light. So and what was the second part of your question? I got so involved with answering that part.
Oh no, it's just sort of a, if this is something I wanted to pursue, what do I do now?
Um, um, you can send me an email. Tara and Macy have my contact information, and we can show you some samples of things that we have done. And like I said, this one was kind of a preliminary scan, but you can see, I just took 20 scans, and you can see the kind of detail we got just from that. So yeah, just shoot me an email, and let us know, and we can look at it and go for it. So,
And Margaret, is it something that CPWP, I know you're interested in painted walls, but what about graffitied walls?
So, as a historic preservation person who has done a lot of documentation work in various formats, as a profession, we're concerned about long-term stability of the media we use to record. And so, to that effect, The state of Maine still wants 35 millimeter film for National Register nominations and 5x6 large format film for MHBR projects. Those are just known to be long-term stable. I've talked to our photographer about Matterport. It was raised as a question, what happens if Matterport goes bankrupt? Then what? All those point scans can actually be downloaded individually and stitched together and viewed using other companies' software. So we will not lose that information. The question is, in 50 years, will we be on totally different technology that makes it incredibly difficult to access those point scans? For instance, anybody else still have their thesis on a zip drive and can't really get to it? So our photographer, Michael Wasserman, is also doing high quality digital still images for all of our projects that we have in the museum, so that we also have that format to use. You saw in my slides the National Register photographs of the Burgess house, and in black and white, it really doesn't do justice to painted walls. The color is just such an important part of the story that the black and white photographs, while stable, just aren't really explaining what the resource is. So I would suggest that yes, the 3D scans are great. They also can be on your website. They'll allow all sorts of people to see them at their own convenience, even if it's an inaccessible space in your building. But I would definitely look into high quality digital photographs and even film photographs just for the long-term stability of your record.
Great. Thank you, Margaret. Dan?
Yes, I'm the property manager at Vaughn Homestead in Hollowell, and I have a question that's generally related to wall decoration. We have a large number of rooms, and each room has different treatments. There are multiple layers of wallpaper, multiple layers of paint, and I've always thought would be really interesting to have a study done that could tell the decorative scheme for each room over time. I know that Historic New England does paint analysis where they kind of dig through the layers to reveal different layers of paint decoration. And this is not the decorative painting that Margaret's talking about. This is pretty much just basic painting. But I was just curious if anybody has thought of that or new resources for that.
For paint analysis?
Yeah.
You actually have a conservator in Hollowell who specializes in that, if you haven't talked to Sutherland.
Yeah, Amy's on our board. I know her, and I've kind of talked a little bit about that. It seems like kind of a big project for her, but I didn't know if there was anybody else that would do something like that would also include like wallpaper layers too.
That would probably, well, it used to be Building Conservation Associates, but Brian Powell retired. There's a firm in New York that does that kind of work. I'm happy to send you some names. And it's also, it's an interpretation question, is how do we use technology to let you show all of those different layers without destroying the layer? So you've got maybe 5 different stories, and how do you let your visitors see all 5? Because the room itself probably shows 1. So technology is wonderful for that. It's a lot of study to make it accurate. Notre Dame has done some really good 3D models that let you walk in and navigate through a virtual space. They've recreated it all. We're documenting. They're recreating. It's very different. What they're doing needs a lot more research to be accurate. We're showing you what we found. We're not fixing it, correcting it, restoring it. We're just documenting it. I think what you're talking about is actually a really exciting opportunity, and there's a lot of technology, whether it's virtual models or there's different ways to project images that would let you experience the space through time.
And I think kind of we were interested in the information that it would reveal. Maybe we would, I don't know to what lengths we would use it in an interpretive way, but still, just the house contains so much information that might be a way to get at some of it.
Okay, I can definitely send you some names for people who can help with those finishes.
Thanks, that's great.
Are there other questions? our attendees? Because I have another one for you, Margaret. I'm just wondering about like, are you interested in any and all painted walls that could come your way? Or do you have like a particular limitation or maybe even just like a wish list of maybe some kind of resources that you haven't gotten to see yet?
More or less, it's the Civil War. The walls that we're looking at are hand painted, and once mass production steps in, just gets taken over by wallpaper. I mean, wallpaper is just so affordable once we get rolls of paper, pulp paper, and roll printing. And these just fall. I mean, it's fashion. Everything comes and goes. And yet these were so widespread at one time. And it's amazing how unaware people are that they were there in the first place. I think we're focused on this era also because it feels very overlooked to us. You know, we've all seen Victorian papered rooms, Victorian stencils, such at New Orleans, and they're beautiful, they're wonderful. But this era has been so overlooked, and
And
that's our focus.
for the most part, is that then going to be in a private home?
So as an example, the next 6 in Maine, 3 are private and 3 are open to the public. But we all know Maine museums tend to be very seasonal, so open to the public, it might be 2 months a year. Although we do try to focus on the privately owned homes because they are not accessible. That would be our first choice. I'm trying to think of the first 20 we did. I think most of those are privately owned. I don't remember if any of those are museums. Oh, Naples, the Cleveland House in Naples, which is an outstanding example of New York stenciling. New York stenciling is just absolutely amazing. That is actually open to the public. That might be the only one of the first 20.
Any other? Oh, Linwood?
Yes, if I could, I just wanted to say thanks to Maine Preservation for maintaining the historic buildings in Wayne and other places. I'm not really too involved in historic preservation myself, but I grew up in Wayne as my hometown, and my father was a Mason, so he likely attended meetings at the Masonic Hall in Wayne. So I'm sure he would have been amazed at the technology that you guys are using. And so again, thank you for your efforts in that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. All right. Well, and thanks to everyone else. Thank you, Norm and Margaret, did you want to say something to wrap up, Margaret? Looks like
No, honestly, I was just quickly looking at the first 20, and I think of those, 2 of them are in museums that are open to the public. I mean, some of them are privately owned. One of them is in Massachusetts. It's a privately owned ballroom on the 3rd floor of this old tavern. You would never get in, and even if you could get in, you'd have to climb 3 flights of steps, and it is just such an incredible space. And talk about one that took a lot of scans to get all that in.
Well,
I think only 2 of the first 20 are open to the public.
I did want folks to know that if they know about any painted walls that they don't yet see on your website, that they should be in touch to try to bring you out to scan. So yeah, so
and also the digital archives. The digital archives has 400 properties in it, so you can also check the digital archives to see if we found your property yet. But we're always happy to hear about more.
Great. Well, thank you, Margaret and Norm, for being here and sharing your work. Thank you to everyone else for joining us at this lunchtime to learn about documenting historic buildings. And we really appreciate your time and hope to see you again sometime soon. But thank you very much for being here.
All right. Thanks for having me.